We have received those in the past. I had one in particular that was seen in the Tuscarora forest area of Pennsylvania, where these beings were, quadrupeds. They looked like huge wolves, but they also had the sloping back like that of a hyena. Very weird. The heads were large, and they seemed to be muscular, like a human, basically. Even though they were quadrupeds. Very, very large and very large animals as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I just live one state over from you, and I've got a lady friend that lives there in Pennsylvania, close to you actually, and she's seen a lot of stuff over there, and she's got a lot of reports on them. I get a lot of reports from there. There's all kinds of craziness coming from your area in Pennsylvania. I mean, from Bigfoot to dogmen to all kind of creatures, little people, you name it. And that's why you're in a hot spot, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I live in south central Pennsylvania, not far from Gettysburg, and in Adams County, Pennsylvania. I had lived in York County, which is just the next county over. Myself and Butch Wachowski and of course Timothy Renner, who also lives in York County. We have been reporting on the local phenomena for many, many years, as well as Northern Maryland. There's a lot of Bigfoot activity in this area. There really is. And there's evidence that there's activity of all kinds of different types of cryptids as well. So, and of course, I did mention earlier about the winged humanoids, and that's something else that people have been reporting as well. So, yeah, I mean, Pennsylvania, I call it the cryptid Mecca. And there just seems to be a lot going on here. And, of course, out in the western part of the state, Stan Gordon has been gathering reports for almost a half a century now. And Stan and I get the opportunity to kind of cross-reference each other occasionally. And, yeah, there's a lot going on here.
Now, yeah, I remember in the early 70s, there was a lot of reports there. You mentioned Western Pennsylvania of the UFO Bigfoot connection. What was your what's your take on that?
Oh, I think it's true. I mean, yeah, Stan reported that flap in the early part of the 1970s, particularly on the Chestnut Ridge areas from Pennsylvania south into West Virginia. But he concentrated mostly in Westmoreland County and to the Pennsylvania line. It was he had reported where there people would witness UFO activity, and also were seeing Bigfoot-like creatures at the same time, and that has happened several times. I mean, that's just not one incident. And in fact, we've also been getting this phenomena of Bigfoot sightings and orb activity as well. That's been coming to light more recently. We've had more and more investigators and researchers of Bigfoot here in Pennsylvania have reporting that they'll get a report of Bigfoot activity, then go to the area and notice a lot of orbs. It just seems to be something that's tied in with the phenomena. So are these orbs UFO or alien-based? Don't know, but it's something that seems to be tied in with it.
Yeah, right. I remember the one report that I think it was the farmer or whatever he was, he actually fired off a few rounds at the Bigfoot, and I believe the report was it disappeared. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, that's what happened. That's what Stan reported. That and there's been a couple of incidents where people would literally take a shotgun shot at one of these things, and it would either disappear or it would seem like it wasn't even hit.
Yeah. Now that brings me to my next question. What is the case that is scared you or shook you the most, or made you, really think about things?
Oh, I would say it would be my encounters. Of course, something that happens to you personally is something that's always on your mind. I had my Bigfoot encounter in '81 in Sykesville, Maryland. That got me into looking into cryptids. And of course, back in '88, I had this encounter with this winged humanoid type being. But I've been involved with the paranormal for many, many years. I mean, I'm an intuitive. I've been able to sense spirit energy at various locations, in particular old battlefields and traumatic areas from history. It's just something that, it's been a part of me all my life.
Right.
I've had a few paranormal experiences with entities or unknown beings or apparitions and such. It was almost like second nature to me, so it didn't really affect me that much. But yeah, I mean, over the years, of course, when I was talking about David Eckhart and, other encounters that people would describe to me, I really can't put a finger on one in particular. It's just been a lot of different encounters that I've had or others have had that have influenced me over the years.
Now, when you had your Bigfoot sighting, was you looking for Bigfoot, or did you just happen to stumble across him?
No, I was fly fishing on the South Branch of the Patapsco River, and it's an area I had been to many, many times, and this thing just showed up across the river.
And did he have all the classic smells to him? I mean, how big was he? Describe him to me.
Oh, he was, when he finally stepped out of the weeds, he was approximately 8 foot in height, I imagine, 7 to 8 foot in height. He had dark brown matted hair on his body, very muscular, very broad, definitely a male. Genitalia was apparent. It looked like, to me, and I have described it in the past as looking like a Neanderthal. The face structure was that more human than ape. It had the conical head, but this thing was massive. And when it stepped out of the weeds, it looked at me for a matter of seconds. I wasn't going anywhere because I had I had full body waders on, so I wasn't moving. And this thing just literally turned on a dime and started heading towards the woods. But I got a good look at it.
Go ahead. What are you saying? You got out of there?
No, I said I got a real good look at it.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a real good look at it. Yeah, it's kind of similar to what Gary, when he's seen it across the ways, and yours took off on 2 feet, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, it just walked. It wasn't running, but it was moving at a good clip, and it walked up into the woods.
That's amazing. And if you had to guess a weight on that thing, how much would you think it would weigh?
Oh, I'd say 350, 400 pounds maybe.
Yeah, so that was a big beast, 8 foot, 350, 400 pounds. And I got to ask you, when you seen that, I mean, what was you thinking?
I didn't know what the hell it was, to be honest with you. I had heard of Bigfoot. It wasn't something I was investigating. Of course, I had heard of it. Back in those days, the monster Boggy Creek, that was the big thing back then. People had known to know the story. They saw the film. But, Bigfoot was kind of a new phenomenon in a way. The Patterson-Gimlin film had just been out for almost a decade by that time. And, of course, people had watched In Search of as the basic show that described this phenomena. I knew of cryptozoology, but at that time I was just investigating hauntings. But when I saw this thing, I assumed it was a Bigfoot. I didn't know what it was. But as I did more investigating afterwards, and of course there had been in the early 70s, And this I didn't know of until I started doing the investigation. There had been a Bigfoot-like creature in the area of Sykesville that people called the Sykesville Monster. And what happened was this creature was actually getting into chicken coops and had gotten into somebody's kitchen, got into somebody's garage, in various residences along the river in Sykesville. This area of Sykesville was mostly made up of African American families, and the actual initial reports at that time were being reported by the Baltimore Afro-American newspaper, and it did go national. It was something that was well known at the time. I knew some of the people that lived in the area, so I was able to get the story from them and was referred to other people. And in fact, I found 8 more witnesses that hadn't been part of the initial investigation. So, I mean, after I did that, I knew, well, this is something I got to start working on. I mean, this has got to be part of my investigations. So, and I wasn't investigating for anything other than myself at that time. Paranormal investigations were kind of a, people kind of looked at you like you were crazy when you told them you were a ghost hunter, you were looking for strange phenomena.
They still do.
Nothing like it is nowadays.
Now, hey, Lon, I hate to say it. We got to wrap it up here. It's 25. Now, again, I want you to tell people how they can find your website, your latest book, and where they can make a donation to help support what you're doing, because you're doing a lot in this field, which, you're one of the most reputable investigators, you and Tobias, out there that I have ever run across.
Yep.
Well, the website is phantomsandmonsters.com. If you'd like to make a donation, you can go to phantomsandmonsters.com and use one of the donation buttons on the website. I also have a free newsletter that you can sign up for on a daily basis. It's free. And my book can also be found on Amazon. You just search my name, Lon Stricker, and all of them will come up. And I also have a radio show, Arcane Radio, which is done live in podcast, but done live on Friday evenings at 9 o'clock Eastern. And like I said, if you have a sighting or a report or anything you'd like to send in, you can either contact me at lonstrickler@phantomsandmonsters.com or call me. My phone number is on the website, or use the links to make a report.
And they can also find you on Facebook.
And I am on Facebook. Yes, I am.
Do you ever have time to take the dog out for a walk?
I don't have a dog, but I don't have that time to do that.
That was a joke, but I mean, you are such a busy man. Well, Lon, I want to thank you for coming back on the show. And you know what? Again, everybody check out his books on Amazon. And Lon, you have a great Thanksgiving.
Same to you, and thanks for having me.
Okay, you have a good one.
Bye, Lon.
Well, great interview with those guys tonight. And I let you take over the last one just because, I know you're a big fan of Lon's. And I just figured, why not?
Yeah, I tell you, we're friends, and I got to tell you, he's a good researcher. He gets out there, and he gets a lot of these great reports, and it was good. I like it. And they're full of information, both of them guys.
Okay, well, guess what? We'll be back in about 3 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark. A big shout out to all my trucker buddies out there. Again, we wouldn't be doing what we were doing if it wasn't for you. And, you help supply our country. And I also was reading today that the truck business, the manufacturers are making these big semi-trucks, and the motor company Cummins and stuff is, laying off because there's a kind of a depression in the trucking business that over 4,000 truck companies this past year bit the dust. I don't understand why, other than, I hate to say it, maybe the tariffs has caused some problems with the truckers out there. I wish somebody would cover that in the main news. Anyway, we'll be back in a little bit. So stay tuned.